Okay, here we go. Now my secondary dominant changes. If you're in the key of B flat, and we're going to use it, hopefully we're going to eventually be able to get back to using it on a blues, on 12-bar blues, jazz blues. But for starters, I just want to talk about what a secondary dominant is and how it can help us in composition, really, I suppose is the main thing. But it also helps us a lot in improvisation. This is what I think about often when I'm superimposing other types of chords. Sometimes it's a secondary dominant movement which is true to a key. So we have, these are our chords of just a B flat major. C minor is our 2 chord. I think that's called the, what is that called? I can never remember. Supertonic, that's right. Then we've got our 3 chord, that's called something or other. 4 chord, which is our subdominant. 5 chord, which is our dominant chord, right? Because that moves, it's exactly 1/5 the way. Gives us this sound, and contained within the the notes of B flat major is that nice little E flat, which against an F sound gives us this feeling of tension release. So that's our dominant chord in the key of B flat. But I'll keep going. We've got G minor, which is the natural minor, the relative minor, and then we have here a little chord which we're going to probably exclude, which is kind of like I suppose if we were talking about the triad, it would just be simply an A diminished triad. But as the 7th chord, it's like a minor 7 flat 5, and there's other types of ways that you can extend or alter the chord to still get a sort of feeling of tension release, maybe not a strong tension in a progression. So you can make it like a minor 7 flat 6 or a minor 7 sharp 5, I suppose, if you want to look at it a different way, but it would be officially minor 7 flat and 6th. And that's a nice chord too, but we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so we have these chords, 4, 5, 6, finally 7 and 1. Now, on the 2 chord, if we wanted to say, get to that chord, and we didn't want to, and you can see this in like a 1-6-2-5 or a turnaround in a blues. Now this chord here, which is coming before this chord, it sounds kind of nice, but what a lot of jazz players do is they turn it into an altered chord, or first of all a dominant chord. And we can see that now our leading tone has changed. Our major third of this chord of G, which is a B, it was a B flat in our first progression, staying in the key of B flat major. Obviously B natural is not in the key of B flat major, but we have this sound, which sounds a lot nicer now. Like even if we just played it without that progression, if we just did some chords out of B flat major, hear that sound there being a much nicer sort of progression, or much more leading progression into the C minor chord. Now, still in the key of B flat, we also have on our 3rd chord, we have another minor chord, which we can approach again from a 5th below. So in the case of C minor, it was G7 going towards C minor. In the case of D minor, it would be an A7. Now that's a pretty crazy sound when we think about B flat major. We don't really think about a semitone below dominant chord, but listen to this. We had progression. It can actually work, right? So that was a very roughly composed piece where I tried to use the secondary dominant, which would be an A7 to the 3 chord of B flat major. Of course, a common secondary dominant movement is to use a B flat 7 to go towards an E flat, which is the 4 chord. So we're going to go, and there we go. Just that little change there. We've changed the B flat, which would, as the 7th chord, be a B flat major, into a dominant chord, da, which is a really beautiful change as well. And then our subdominant minor change as well. That's quite nice. So we've got major 7, to our secondary dominant B flat dominant 7, E flat major whatever, E flat major 7 in this case, and then an E flat minor whatever. It's a minor 9, minor major 9 in that case, which is a really nice sound as our subdominant. subdominant minor. And then we've got also, which is another common, this is probably the most common secondary dominant, is to go, is to think about our 5 chord of B flat, which is F major, and insert just before there a C dominant 7. Now the other one, which is very common, these are all common when you start to study jazz repertoire, is the D7, just before a G minor, which is our 6 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to play it with a whole lot of secondary dominant. We don't worry about the 7th because I don't know how to put it in there. Here we go. All of those were just secondary dominants in the key, in one key, in the key of B flat. So have fun experimenting with that and getting to understand it as I am just learning it myself.